people that are on a payroll are not affected because you don't want to interfere with power, honoring them just
What
to make them unemployed.
what
Let's go.
some of these ministries and agencies are don't have anything significant in their operational budget. So most of what drives their budget is the salary.
No, that's not true.
So you
That's
are
not true.
necessarily going to
So
be seeing
so
that.
pick again, like I said, if I pick my laptop, then we would have seen that.
Mm.
They have a lot of money in the budget. You have to provide fuel for them. You have to buy the generator for them. You have to buy the stationery, the computer. You have to provide the operational costs. You have to provide the travel, the training, all of the other costs, the tissue, all of the other costs associated, the maintenance, all of the other costs associated with running that ministry is significant. So that is a problem that you have. When you squeeze that, you'll be able to save millions of dollars that you can redeposit into the private sector. And that's precisely where it is. The other thing is, I'm going to expand the tax base. Let's take it. Let's take it that there are about, let me give you another example. Let's take it that there are about 650,000 houses in Montserrat County. Let's say we spend 20, $30 million to do zoning. So that when Mr. Julia is directing somebody to his house, he doesn't have to say when you come, you see one container. Then you see one jello, you see one shop, one shop, and you see one blue building, those kinds of things. So we zoom Monrovia in a way that we use a zipping system. So every 5,000 houses will be in a zip. So you don't want these long, complicated numbers that other institutions are using. This other number, that so and so. You can't remember it. So the simple thing you're going to do is you put zip 00001 house number one, zip 0001 house number two, up to 5,000 houses. Then you go on to another area that is a new zip. If you did that, you just took a bare minimum, right? An average cost, 650,000 times $50 per month. That's 32,500,000 per month on real estate taxation. Do you know what you're getting from real estate taxation? Now, if you multiply this by 12 months, you're going to have $390 million from real estate taxation. Right now, we're getting less than $20 million from real estate, only because Monrovia is not zoned. If you zone it, every house has a number. It makes it easier to serve documentation. So just from zoning Monrovia, not even Monrovia alone, you stand to make $390 million. Take this across the country. And the reason why I'm taking $50, a big building will pay a lot more. A much smaller building will pay a lot less, and then you take an average. So I'm taking an average of $50. If you took this across the country, you will expand your tax base by almost $1 billion. And you can redeploy that money into activating a private sector that's totally non-existent. If these are the kinds of conversations we have,
Do you mean $50 US?
yeah, $50
For the whole year?
No, for the month. So that's an average. That's an average. Some of the take a place La Royal Hotel. Take a place La Royal Hotel.
That would seem to be high.
No, it's not high.
And
Take a place La Royal Hotel. For
and
example,
then you will have the social fight backs.
no, take a place La Royal Hotel.
Because right now I think it's 25 the whole year or 50 the whole year or
No,
something. So
take a place La Royal Hotel.
Mhm.
Royal Hotel probably pay about 20 something $1,000 a year for real estate tax. Take some of the other bigger buildings. They probably Pan African Plaza. Pan African Plaza is paying maybe 40,000 a year. So if you have a small building that is paying say $25, or $15, you do an average, you're going to come to about $50, and that's why we took that number. There's an integrated figure that went into this. So at $50 per month times that, that's what you're saying to make. Only when you zoom the place, when you lay it out, when a car can go to a house, when anybody can go to a house without necessarily calling another person. I just gave you my house number, then you put it in the map and you can drive, then it helps you. Other countries are doing that. And I know there may be somebody saying, oh, it's not possible. If 350 million people in America can do it, why 5 million people can do it?
well, given the way the different cities and towns are built here, people build in the alleys and
That's what the
different kind
zoning
of
will clean
poor
up.
infrastructure.
That's what the zoning will clean up. Let me tell you, and when you with the zoning, you come up with rules. In Zimbabwe, when we went there with Shark, when you go to a land, if let's say Mr. Jeb bought 100 acres of land and he wants to now sell it per lot, right? The government comes in. You have to go and get a permit. and then government comes in and they will lay it out with you. So they're not going to spend the money to lay it out. You got to spend your money to lay it out. But then they will lay it out and name each lot per block, right? So they block it, they name it, and then they make sure water is run there, they make sure electricity is run there, and then you can go ahead and sell. So another African country is doing that. But when it comes to Liberia, why are these things so difficult? Everything seems everything seems to be hard because people that are intellectually lazy are the people that are elevated to positions of prominence.
Well, uh, that is the situation we have to face with. So that was looking at the economy. You talk about a kind of industrial revolution, expanding of the tax base and all of that. But there are existing hanging fruits like rubber and different other crops that will be dependent on the mining sector. How do you handle those?
As president, I wouldn't deal with the mining sector.
Why?
It's simple. Um, Liberia did mining, I think, since the 1930s or 1920s, but we didn't have a true mining training school. Neither did we actually incorporate mining in our tertiary education. We didn't, at the University of Liberia, you don't have anything on the College of Mining. So we don't have an educational infrastructure to produce miners and mining engineers. So in every respect, if you were to open a mining company now, you're going to have some of the problems every mining company I've had. Typically, you don't have the expertise. So most of the people that do the job will be people that are imported into the country that have the expertise. What I want to focus on, I want to look at agriculture. 70% of our workforce is in the area of agriculture. I want to focus heavily on how we can add value and some of the specific, unique challenges we've seen in the agriculture sector are things that have been proven. For example, one, farmers throughout this country get together and farm. So as a result, some of them are left out. If you know anything about rural, some of them are left out because it's a communal farming thing. We all come together and clear my land. You notice you visit a rice farm.
The whole town going up wasn't on the clay.
Thank you, thank you. And then what happened? If you notice, if you visit a rice farm, when you go there, what will you find? The sticks are all crossed like this. Whereas if you look at a rice farm in Thailand or in India, the rice are in a single line and the gaps in between are all laid out. Our rice farm, the sticks are all fell across and they're just playing around. And so as a result, the yield per hectare in terms of output from the land is much lower, which ultimately causes price to be higher. So if you check the price for one bucket or 1 ton of rice, raw sea rice here, is even more expensive than the refined product. So one of the challenges we see is land clearing. That's why, as president, one of the things we want to do clearly, we're president today, come January 2024, we want to invest in through a private public sector arrangement. We want to take public resources invested in the private sector. How? We're not just going to take government money and give it to Mr. J and say, go and make fun. We want to take that money from the central bank. The government will give it to the central bank. Central bank give it to the commercial bank with specific instructions to lend to specific companies. Those companies that will be incorporated, we're not just going to take government money and give it to them. They will be equipment companies. They will have trucks. They will have warehouses. They will go and clear the land for the farmers for free. They will give them seedlings for free. The farmer only job is to farm. So now, instead of me getting a much lower yield out of my land because of the old method of farming, now I have a company that clears. That company that clears for me, I'm selling my yield back to that company. So those companies become the fulcrum of the new Liberian economy. Take, for example, Mr. Julius J wants to produce palm oil in Liberia today, right? He has to open a transport company. If he doesn't have a palm
Yeah,
farm.
all right. So where are you gonna get the companies from and the human capital too?
Oh, simple. Thank you. A very brilliant question. So the companies, so all of these, some of these political elites or the non-political elite, Instead of giving them ministerial job, you form them into groups. And what they're going to do? You form them into groups, and they are going to establish a company. Not necessarily that they will run the company, but they will be owners of it. So they form the board of directors. Where we have skill deficit, those skills will be imported and those skills will be transferred to our local people. That's what we call technology transfer.
Mm.
First, it used to be called technology espionage because you had to go and steal it. Now you can transfer it legally. So you can have a company like Firestone. You have few foreigners, a lot of locals, and the skill will be transferred. And over time, you will have a Liberian leadership of a lot of those domestic companies. But the good news is you will have that transfer of skill and things going to work out. So now what we're going to have, those companies now clearing the land and declare the land, now we got you. So what can happen? If Mr. J wants to, say, manufacture corn, right? He wants to add value to corn. He doesn't have to send truck to Nima, send truck to Lofa, send truck to Bon, looking for product. He has 30 companies that have been established because we have two per county. He can just call company A and say, look, I want 1,000 tons of corn every month. Company A say, no problem. He can call company B out, I want another 1,000 tons. Now, you see, we've created the agricultural infrastructure that create a basis for an industrial push, which creates the job for our people and reduce this whole concept of importing to the country rather than being a net exporter. And that's what Nigeria is doing. When Dangote started his plan, imagine he was 7 years late. When he started having problems, financial issues, MPC, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, bought 20% stake in it. And he has a guaranteed inflow of 300,000 barrels of crude oil that will be flowing to him. So you see, the government bought equity into it. In our case, we need to have a government in place that see the need for an industrial expansion rather than this whole thing. The only way we can create wealth, somebody has to be representative, somebody has to be senator, somebody has to be assistant minister. So all the young men want to be assistant minister, director of this ministry, deputy minister. Working in government is not the only way because look, let's take this one. Governments don't trade with governments. Ministries don't trade with ministries. It is businesses within nations that trade with other businesses within other nations. If we don't create the businesses, then how are we going to trade with other nations? So the only big people we have here is some of the biggest people will be one man that import frozen food, one man that import rice, one man that import sugar, one man that import this. The importers are the biggest business people. Another man importing vegetable oil. What's wrong with our productive capacity? Because we've never had a government that drives that. And so our people are poor and desperate.
This is the OK conversation on OKFM 99.5. We are having a high level discourse right here with the political leader of the movement for progressive change, Simeon Freeman, talking about the issues that matter. The issues I always tell you that matter in the election is not about what someone can speak and what they can speak, what they wear and what they do not wear, which country they come from or not. It's about whether they have the ability to understand the issues. So one of the things that I say here is the job of a president is not necessarily to be agriculture minister or be education minister,
Right.
but is to spot talent, place it there, and ensure that that talent is doing what it is supposed to do. What is your ability to lead people to work, to actually do the work for which they are employed?
And that's why I've said the Simeon Freeman government will set a role model in that one, we will not look for which party you belong to, we will look for your capacity, how much skill set you have. Because in the end, who fires and hires? It's the president of Liberia. So even if you come from party A, B, or C, you see, when we begin to place Liberia first, where the issues of Liberia become the basis upon which we make key decisions, it changes the dynamic. But when the only reason why I qualify to be in government is because I'm a loyalist of this party, I campaign for this party. The question is, You campaign for the party, but who voted for your candidate? It is the people of Liberia. Should they be victim of your incompetence, and should your loyalty to a person be the reason for your continuous existence in a government, or should it be on the basis of your capacity to perform? If those are the imperative, then it makes it easy to spot talent. But when you're going to block yourself within a particular limit, okay, this man comes from this other party, he supported me. Now that's the reason. Then you close in the box to a large pool of Liberians that have capacity. As president, that wouldn't be my focus. My focus would be, if you're a Liberian, you're the only requirement is, are you capable? Are you competent? And that's why people who even work for me, they know that. I don't ever sit with my colleagues and say which party you belong to, or I'm hiring on the basis of party. We hire on the basis of, an evaluation committee that hires. They don't ask you which county you come from, what party you voted for. Do you know Simeon Freeman? Did you vote for him before? No. We operate on the basis of, what can you contribute to the growth of the company. If you brought that into government, you will see in the end, you're going to have a better country. Leadership is about influencing outcome. It's about driving the change process. And if all we're doing with leadership is, oh, okay, we surround ourselves with a few people that are totally incompetent, but we can trust them, then we elevate loyalty and trust in a person over the challenges of the country. And the outcome will always be disaster. And that's why we have these outcomes we have.
Well, one of the key problems identified facing our country is corruption. How do you fight it? How do you ensure that it is not a problem for your government?
I'll tell you what is corruption? Corruption is greed, isn't it? Greed will express itself whenever there's an opportunity. That's all. If I'm giving money to 10 people, and I call one of the 10 people in the corner and say, look, yeah, $100 here, but just go and give it to the boss. By the time he gets out there, he will probably say, my man, give me $15 and put the $85 in your pocket. But if it is transparent, that's it. And that's why you see I'm saying, at the heart of everything, let's take education in Liberia. How many times you've heard they say, I think, in fact, one time Mr. Weir was even embarrassed when I think there was some cheers for schools. I don't remember the exact story, but I think you recall there was some money that should have been funded, cheers for school. I think he reported it in his speech, but it hadn't really been activated. How many times have you heard, even from the past administration, whether it was Taylor or Saliv, that you heard that, look, computers were sent to this county, and you can't even see it. Even for schools here, you go to schools, there were issues because of the channel. And that's why my approach is totally different in terms of education. I'm not going to have that Ministry of Education, DEO, CEO system that never worked. I'm going to change that. Where we will have a private sector running it, and we pay them differently through a new type of taxation. If that happens, it changes the whole dynamic. The problem with corruption is we have to keep changing the approach. That's why in the private sector, they change the approach. They use this approach. It doesn't work. They change this approach. That's why the organizations call themselves learning organizations, the most effective ones. They learn new approaches. They implement it. But what do? We still stuck with this 1820 way of running government that have never worked. So what do you expect?
Sorry, in the case of government corruption, you have the revenue generating capacity, storing of the revenue, and the use of it. Those are three different areas that can have corruption, and especially in the usage.
Batman, can I ask you? The mobile phone companies, I think each of them have more than 1 million subscribers between them. Can you cheat them? And when you want to use it, you have to put money in your phone when your money finish.
Exactly.
When your DSTV, when you finish, you can cheat us. We just say that we don't have to run behind you. We leverage technology. We build a data center. We leverage technology. Who says this is the only place? Where other African countries, if you went to Kenya, you could hardly pay with cash. You have to have an M-Pesa account. If you want to buy land in Kenya, you have a PIN. The thing is, do they have corruption there? Yes. Are they trying to find ways to deal with it? At least they've leveraged the first phase of technology. In our case, when you try to talk about the change process, there are agents that say, "Oh, that one can work. Oh, this, oh, that." The intellectually lazy people are elevated to leadership. When they get in position, they see it as an opportunity to chop. And the reason why you see people gather behind certain people, because they see it's an opportunity for them to chop. When people like us, through people's power, come to power, it changes the opportunity. Are we going to isolate those kinds of people? No, we're not going to. But we're going to redirect the way they make money rather than the old way. Because you see, if we maintain this system where I can only live good if I'm minister. I can only live good if I'm assistant minister or I'm director for this. Then my standard of life change. Some of the people that were nobody now are people because now they are in position. A new government is a new group of people. Show me some of the people that were enjoying in the last 12 years of the other government. Where are they? Some of them probably even taking tests now. And people who used to, have two cars, security, or some of them have absolutely nothing right now. Is that the system we want? That only when you enter government, then is your time to chop? We can sustain this. That's why we need to have a large private sector.
This is strong. This is powerful, and I will have to try to bring you here again. We just talked about the economy and fighting corruption and what your style of leadership is. I want to be able to open the lines earlier so that the public can interact with you, ask you questions, and you respond to their questions. We do that for some time. Have good public interactions. But I am concerned about the quality of the public too. What is it that they need? Is it that kind of leadership? Is it that kind of leader that is on the issues? It's not talking about who shot and who tore and who not get people and who get people. Well, is it? Does the public understand that they need leaders who know the issues and go after solving them?
Mr. Julius J, when you, Julius J, or the other talk show hosts sit on the show and propound a narrative, many times you notice the caller trend supports largely what you said. True or false? Do I have your attention, sir?
Yeah, sure. I am.
So you notice whatever you say, you notice once you've spoken for about 30 minutes and opened the line, the caller supports you largely, right? So I'm saying this to say, instead of permitting politicians set the agenda, oh, the person let her man, woman candidate, oh, the other person from the other county. When those become the issue, rather than these bread and butter issue that makes a person. The other day I was in West Point. The woman cooked. The soup she had over the food was red oil. She just sprayed the red oil over the white rice. I said, why? I remember my child. If these are not the issue, if the issue is not interest rate that's making people go crazy, if the issue is not the difficulty that is driving people into public prostitution, if those are not the issue, and the issues are, oh, the person a woman, oh, the person come from the county, oh, the person did, then you permit them to set the agenda, and what happens? The country will slide. Like I always say, Georgia is not Liberia's problem. If we in the opposition run a campaign based on Georgia, then we may get what Nigeria got, a repeat of the ruling establishment. Turkey, a repeat. But if we're running a campaign, if everybody in the opposition is running a solid campaign based on change, the people will say, you know what, we're hearing a different message. But even in our bloc, we have deficits. So in every respect, the country, Liberia, has systemic issues that require change. And we're not going to be running, Joe, we are Joe, every car, oh, Joe, we are this, Joe, we are that, Joe, we are going to talk, Joe, if that's it, then we're hurting. And that's where journalists play a role where journalists can elevate the conversation.
Certainly, some of us try. We are trying. It's not easy, but we're trying. 0777700 995 055 995 995. Let's read some of the comments Boy Coco said your guest has all the ideas but can't pay tax for the DSTV business he has. Please ask him how far is his case with MCC. Too many good talkers in our country. Okay. Ben West says Simeon Freeman brings a lot of sense to the discourse. I wish him all the best in his quest to help change Liberia for the better. It would not take him long in his quest for the presidency, but with his brilliant plans, I'm sure he will achieve it one day. He's pretty much up to speed. It was nice hearing from him today. Liberia first, Liberia lies with positive mindset and recommendations. We can make Liberia great again as Ben Doe. Uh, Chateau Doherty Senior says actually has ideas. He says exactly what he wants to do and how he intends to do it. I like that. Let's see before we go to cause. We don't do justice to the commenters. That is why I'm trying to do it. What's happening is now. This is the OK conversation on OKFM 99.5. If you have your questions now, uh, uh, Kuta Bantala Dolo says, I disagree with this. One George Weah is a problem. He is a major contributor to Liberian suffering for about approximately 6 years now. Mesco Weber says GMB people need to keep silent and listen to knowledgeable personality. Harris Thomas said, Mr. Freeman, we have a factory currently in the country producing steel, but the cost is high due to the price of fuel and other material costs. How can you lower the cost of purchase? That's a question there for you. Vincent P. says, stop lying. That's not your childhood. You never suffer. They say you didn't suffer. Okay. Hilton Murajido said he can't talk integrity when his brother-in-law passed away from Logan Town. Is his party SG. Okay, let's take some of your calls on 0777 995 let's go international first. Welcome. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello? Hello? Yes? What's your name? Where are you calling from? Can you speak louder? You're sounding very low. I don't know, Andrew, what's happening here? Okay, I see what the problem is. It is not your fault. Hold on. Let me put you through the system. It doesn't look like it's connected, though. I don't know. Okay. Just hold on. Like it disconnected by itself. Let's take this call. Welcome. Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, Julius.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Julius. And let me say thanks to Mr. Freeman. I think Mr. Freeman elaborated on key national issues. And he is one person that I love. Julius, my name is Pepelos the second, and I joined the conversation from Central Monrovia. Let me say to you, Julius, Mr. Simeon Freeman, with all of and what he explained, let's say this, that it is always good for you to recognize and people who make significant strides, people who work in government, and you cannot point to a symptom of corruption and your contempt. When you look at Omer Joseph Walker, he comes to the leadership or he calls for the presidency with integrity. And Mr. Simeon Freeman can admit to that, but he has not been able to muster the courage to do. This is where we talk about the deception. When you ask Mr. Freeman about the question that, look, your name is not seen favorite in the public because you, Julius, you went to Nimbai, you went to other places where you interview people hair by hair, Julius. Nobody called Mr. Freeman name. Mr. Freeman say 1 or 2 times he won opinion polls. Where? Look, just abruptly again, just open your line and let 10 persons call. Mr. Freeman will not get 1 of the 10 that will call. So when you ask this honest to yourself, then with all of the knowledge that you claim you have, the honesty will always fall. And so you're not bringing anything to the lecture discourse. But Mr. Freeman, he has good ideas, but then he needs to acknowledge that, look, Joe Parker is a serious person who needs to take up the
did we talk about Joseph Boyka here?
No, so Julius, you don't have to talk about it, right?
But why are you bringing Joseph Boyka?
If everybody wants to be president, then Julius, who are going to vote?
What has Joseph Boyka told you about these things that we've just talked about? What is the vision that he has presented?
Julius, I am aware of art.
Of what?
Are you not aware of arrest?
What is
agriculture, education, sanitation, and tourism, and Mr. Boyka clearly indicated, stated how agriculture is going to be his number one, how road is going to be another point, and he clearly articulated on the arrest. But Julius, you're aware of that. How you acting like you don't know today?
Okay. Thanks so kindly for your call. Let's go here. I also want people to ask him questions. Please stop calling the international line locally. That's the reason why I don't even try to announce it. So when the international post here, stay up good. Welcome. What's your name? Yes, go ahead. Let's hear you. Go ahead, Maurice.
Thank you so much. You know what? I admire this man so much. You know when I saw you, I mean, he speaks like a media. He has got the opposition. Because the opposition, you must be negative. He loves this country. I see when they are done so well, they have represented the TSTV, they have this and that. But you are always admire him on the radio. He speaks, I mean, right to the issue. Thank you so much, man. Well, I'm so not gonna wake up about this weekend, but maybe if I be in the restaurant for it now, you'll be my candidate.
Why you can't be your candidate now?
No, but I got a former job here.
Okay.
I got a former job here.
Okay.
I love Simeon Freeman so much. You always think of the issue.
Okay.
I'm looking for you with the big opposition. You spend it, you don't speak a fact.
Okay. Okay. Thanks so kindly, man. So, Simeon Freeman is a second choice. Okay. Welcome. What's your name? I don't know. This thing doesn't seem to be connected. Hello. Yes. Go ahead.
This is Willem Bro on the line from France.
Go ahead.
You see, Julius, I want to say hi to Simeon Freeman in the studio. In fact, since I've been monitoring the social media on Liberian political terrain, Mr. Freeman is one of the most responsible and brilliant opposition I've ever seen in Liberian history since we got from 2005 getting into our democracy. Don't get me wrong, I'm a decent, I support the president re-election, but if we have people like Freeman in the opposition, I think we'll be making progress. But for example, he made a point that I want to agree with him on concerning local businesses. There should be an environment for local businesses to attract foreign businesses, because it is the prospect of local businesses that will usually attract foreign investment to come in the country, because most often foreign investors depends on the signal they get from local businesses in various countries that prompt them to come down to say, okay, we can invest in the sector because the local people, they are making progress in that. One area that a little bit different with Simeon Freeman was when he was making the scenario about maybe opening a factory in Sino, and you asking about whether they be using generator with respect to electricity, and he said yes. Yeah, those things can work, but it will not be too much in case of last statement out directly to the operation manager. I asked him the same question with respect to Labrador. And one thing he told me, he said, you see, in Nigeria, one thing that kept our businesses down for which we are waiting on generator is because of our population. And you got to look at the population. If you open a factory in Sino, for example, you may not have the population that would do purchasing local before you even extend it to other counties or states like for Nigeria.
Okay, purchasing power. Thanks, William. We got your point. We have to take orders. This is the OK conversation. Let's come to this side. Welcome. What's your name?
Yeah, good evening, Julius J, and good evening to Honorable Simeon Freeman.
Go ahead, Idris.
Yeah, Mr. Freeman, I must commend you for your oration. And I know Mr. Freeman over the years to be a very good orator. And he talked about a small size. I mean, squeeze government and condense government. If you talk about, for instance, Ministry of Transport and bringing Ministry of Commerce and all of that together and making them into a one ministry, it means that, for instance, if you bring in transport to commerce, you have a deputy minister for transport instead of minister of transport. That be the case. So he said you will not affect. The combination will not affect the employees. But then if that is the case, because government expenditures, 65% or over 60% of the revenue generated goes to government itself. That is to salary. So what impact will you be making if you maintain the roster, the payroll, which constitutes 60% of the consumption the government consumes? If you are maintaining that, then what impact are you making?
Okay, so what impact are you making? Thanks so kindly. We hope other political leaders, running mates, and all of that can be open to this kind of discussion that we're having here. Bill Murphy said, please ask Mr. Freeman if a sitting president asks him to serve as finance minister, will he accept? Okay. Katie Kun says, Mr. Freeman is there to understand Liberian politics. How can you threaten to take away more than 70,000 people just through civil servants and you expect to win an election? With these civil servants, you want to take are the ones who are going to the polls. What an irony. Okay. This one says, why good people cannot lead Liberia? Simeon Freeman is brilliant. Christopher M. Bala. I know the answer to that, Christopher. When we check it out, you are behind someone else. And you think the question I be asking you, who made George Weah, Joseph Baca, Cummings, all the people, who made it to get numbers? Like I said, can go behind it. They say the person get numbers. You know, the person manufacturer, when somewhere mail the person, everything. I mean, what was that? Okay. Where are you calling from? Okay, Washington DC. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much for Mr. Freeman for what you just said. You know, I love to that. Although it's not supposed to be, but the critical time you with that, know that that's what you say is listening. But when I see people talk about either brother, I really want to play for serious. Those are people who are not serious. That's Mr. Freeman. No matter you don't support the government, but look at the logic people preach, and they want to keep logic and bring on the table. If you want to, you know, that bro, there's those people serious, not those type of people that are being serious. The men are letting the country away in the government for 42 years, as a baby at 20 years, and you look at somebody that preaching logic, maybe you not let the government. So something that makes sense. The Democrats are here, or the Republicans are here, they do the same. They don't preach the policy about the party. They preach the policy to benefit people. But Liberia policy, they want to benefit themselves. They're not preaching that the benefit is utility, but if they check that the same thing that a benefit is utility, that means they still speak for themselves. So, Mr. Freeman, thank you so much for your contribution. Although you have to hold the government, but I know what you're saying, it makes sense. I know those that are not like you, one day they understand what you're saying, it makes sense. Thank you so much for the show.
Okay, thanks so kindly as well for the call. This is the OK conversation. That's how we do it. We elevate the conversation. Let's come to this local line. Let's see who's right here. Welcome. What's your name?
Coming from District 8.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wonderful. Simeon Freeman, you just made a mark. And you are just one of the few men in this republic that will always come on. There's just one thing you need to get to do. Draw a line and call Alexander Cummings, and you people can blend ideas. Today, most of the professionals who support Arizona Big comments because of ideology. For you, many people drive your direction, but limited number of people to support you to be president, or you can be a very good National Investment Commission person. Please, if you guys from the opposition who galvanize the resources of ideas and sit together at the table, Josh Weir is out. Please do not go to this election with that.
Okay.
Let's push Liberia forward, please.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks so kindly for your call. Keep them coming in. Let's go international. Let's see who's on +49. I don't know which country is that. Welcome. Where are you calling from?
Yes, hi. Hi, Judas. My name is George Stegberg, and I call you from Berlin, Germany.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I want to say thank you to the honorable man, Mr. Freeman. You were my presidential candidate in 2017. I'm a youth activist for change from the Lower Street community in Israel, and you were someone that I was really depending on to help change our society. But of course, things didn't go well. But I'm so happy that at least people like you still exist in our society, that you can come up to know some of the challenges and then bring the way forward. Unlike many of the opposition folks, they just come up and criticize with not providing the necessary advices that can help, for the forward march of our country. So happy that these conversations are going up. And then, Julius, I'll be so happy if you can provide.
Hello?
Discuss the agriculture sector, Chief.
What you said?
I said I'll be so very happy if you can provide us sometimes with the time that we can be able to discuss and share more light on our agriculture sector can improve, because that is one of the first things that Mr. Freeman mentioned, and that is one of the reasons why our economy is still being stagnated.
Okay, you can just get in touch with my own number. Just get in touch with my own personal number. You can send me a message there. We'll see how that works. Okay. Okay, keep the calls coming in. Let's bring in a few more before we go back to him. There's a whole lot that has come in so far. Welcome. What's your name?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Let's hear.
Yeah, good evening to you. Let me say good evening to the MPC political leader, Simeon Freeman. My name is TKS Maton, and I join you from Center Monrovia this afternoon. Julian, I listened to Mr. Freeman. I think what I want to bet with it. It's not when I'm a little bit with me is the issue of Georgia should not be playing of the bad government.
No. That's not what he said. Okay, he said Georgia is not Liberia's problem.
Okay, Georgia, President, we are, from my own understanding, is part of the bad government in Liberia.
And so if you took Georgia from there and you put another president there, and then all the problem will be solved. I'm asking you now, Chio. Yeah? I'm asking you, who you want to be president?
For me, I know I'm from the all angle.
Who you want to be president, my man? Leave it.
I can tell you who I want to be president.
Why?
I wouldn't want for us to get a representative.
But who to you now? Who the representative person to you? That who? And you know how God can work. And how God can work democracy. God doesn't send people. Nobody will fool you. In any democracy, God not sending anybody to use it. Then God made a person president. That all can decide. The human being can decide. This is not a theocracy. Isn't a theocracy? God can tell the priest, I'm not Julius Jed. I ain't a king. No argument. Then when I all can decide, God can decide. Baby. God just look. He's just looking at he fight. Goza, no, wait till Windows says. Welcome. What's the name?
And Julius, let me say good evening to Mr. Freeman.
What's the name? Where are you calling from? Quickly.
Yeah, my name is Godwin Ware Jr. I'm joining you from the car web belt. You know, Julius, why it's true that, you have made a decision not to answer some of us or not to answer our question on your privileged land. I think you should focus on the local land of time so you can take on Julius. Well, I've been calling back and back. But here's the issue with Mr. Freeman. Mr. Freeman, there's a perception of even sedition. The government that you want to, remove from power. They are sedition healing you with your little brilliant idea. And I'm also aware that your political parties, in that of the Unity Party and other political parties, have been working together to some extent, to some level. Don't you think that your idea can be, the party has, to move the country forward? You got expertise in other positions, in other areas of our country. Don't you think it would be good that we all come together, because we all are yearning to remove CDC from power, which I know you are good to.
But all of you were together before, and your United Party people ran away, and you went your own way.
No, we didn't run away. No, we didn't run away. What happened here is that, the discussions are different. Some people can say that we've been having series of meetings. We have come up with one, a call, especially on national issues together, political parties.
Okay, thanks so kindly because at the time, let's take the final one for overseas. Welcome, Patrick. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Freeman, my name is A. Patrick. So I call you from Minnesota. You bring out the sport. Everything said, with respect to building Liberia, I agree. Except that my concern has to do with mental health. By the way, I work in the U.S. as a school-based therapist, and I have a huge interest in Liberia's mental health system. What is your plan? I did not hear you, and not only you. I don't hear a lot of the candidates talking about mental health, how to rebuild our mental health system. Can you speak about that, please? And lastly, your loan process. I got interest in it. There's a married couples, in Liberia. I want to help them. They're kind of struggling. I can pay the interest on the loan if they can qualify for it, and then you give them the money. If I don't know how the process works.
Okay.
Things are kind of a little tough. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So kind of go back to him now. Time is already running. I have 5 minutes to respond.
Right. So I want to thank the multiple people that call. It's always healthy and a democratic environment. The first caller that talked about, he talked about, I think something about Ambassador Boyka. I prefer not to discuss him as a person or the Unity Party as a party. I prefer to move past that. Somebody else talked about purchasing power, which I think is a very valuable comment. But importantly, you have degrees of factory. You have factory sizes. You also will have volume. You have 5 million people in Liberia. So even if you had 100,000 people servicing your product, you're definitely going to succeed. A few callers have said support this, support that, and the issue of numbers. Again, I want to encourage you. If we want to change our country, we have to move away from sentiments. I know it's a difficult thing. We have to move away from sentiments, and we have to embrace the bullet to influence the outcome that we really, really want to see in Liberia. So clearly, I'm presenting myself, and I'm hoping that you will carry me forward. A lot of people already have pledged support. A lot of people do support us, and we want to thank those people who do, especially when we had the Simeon Freeman show. A lot of people sign up, a lot of new people. So in terms of somebody talk about the very people, 70,000 that will want to support us are the people who want to put out a job. No, we're not putting anybody out of job. There is this where you have this social economic merger, where you take the social structure, you merge it with an economic formula to create a transition. So what we're saying on the payroll, we're going to have people on our payroll and we transition them to a private sector. So all of these various private sectors that we'll be creating, there will be transition. Once you are transitioned, then your name gets off the payroll. So it will be an integrated in infrastructure. Somebody else talked about what's the last one? Somebody else talked
Finance minister,
about
if someone asks you to be finance
right,
minister.
but we're not having such a discussion at this point. We're talking about being president of Liberia. But be that as it may, this election, and the last gentleman talked about mental health. Yeah, the interview period was short, even though it was 1 hour 30 minutes, but it was still short. We have an elaborate program on mental health, but don't forget, when people are unemployed, it can be a very serious issue. So we think stepping down mental health with, in many respects, have to be start with giving people some level of hope in themselves and confidence. But there is an elaborate plan on that. Maybe the next time on this show, we call simulcast, we can spend more time on the issue of mental health, like we try to do with the economy today, because we didn't even deal with education or that.
Mhm.
So yes, the issue and the plans to transition Liberia are numerous in terms of how we even want to reduce our foreign representation in terms of embassies in order to save money. So all of these things are things that we're clearly looking at, and we counting on your support to make us lead this country. Somebody might say, well, I'm supporting this person. Yes, you're supporting that person in every respect. We're counting on your support. Some of those people who say I'm the second choice, I will encourage you to make me your first choice so that together we can transform our country. It's been an amazing couple of minutes in your company. Time is up, and have a wonderful day. Today is Monday. Have a very, very wonderful week ahead, and God bless. Thank you so much, man.
Okay, his name is Simeon Freeman, political leader of the Movement for Progressive Change. Had a discourse around the economy, around the fight against corruption, around his leadership attributes and ability. Maybe we'll have him for the next time. We'll go deeper into agriculture, into education, into healthcare, into infrastructural development. Of course, we talked about taxation too today, trying to expand the tax net. Everything is tied to the economy, though. My name is Julius J. Tomorrow is another day. Hopefully, we'll have Isaac Jackson right here.